I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at theDove.us.
Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson. And what about conversions in Hollywood? Well, we are delighted to have with us today Mary Claire Kendall. She's a writer. She's authored a book entitled Oasis, Conversion Stories of Hollywood Legends. And this is the first of books that she's writing. In fact, she's now writing a sequel. And we want to talk to her about this. So hi, Mary. Merry Christmas.
Hi, Perry. Merry Christmas to you, too.
What provoked you to go down this road, and how did you find out how to do this?
Oh, well, I knew I was a writer. Actually, Senator Coburn's chief of staff said, you know, you shouldn't be writing press releases, and you just need to find the book. And I knew the book because I'd written about Betty Hutton. She was the first one. Most people are not that familiar with Betty, but she was Annie Get Your Gun was her big movie. Amazing. She was down to 88 pounds, following in the footsteps of her good friend Judy Garland. She had been religious on the stage. Whenever she'd go on stage, she'd always say a prayer, but she kind of lost that in Hollywood, and she was really on rock bottom. And then this priest she saw checking in this his bombed-in cook, and he was so saintly, and she said, "He's going to save my life," and he did.
Wow. And so that kind of opened the idea. So how did you find out about these conversions? Where did you go to get the info?
Well, okay, so I was doing some screenwriting, so I already knew, I was slightly familiar with a lot of these icons like Gary Cooper. I knew that he had later in life, he had a conversion. I knew Bob Hope vaguely. His wife was really praying for him for so many years. I actually ran into her 10 years before he converted, and she said to pray for him. So I just knew, and then, but in terms of once I got the book greenlit, Patricia Neal, beautiful autobiography, As I Am. Mary Astor had an autobiography, a lot of biographies, a lot of, well, Betty Hutton, she had that beautiful interview with Robert Osborne on Private Screenings, Turner Classic Movies. Family members, close friends, interviewed them, for instance, and like at the Ann Miller, the priest that baptized her, just the last hour of her life, amazing. So intimates, family, books, their writings, newspapers, interviews, like this.
Most of these, Mary, conversions while they were in their career, were they believers before they came? I mean, what was the sequence here?
It's all over the map, but most of them had a foundation in faith. So, like Lana Turner had a foundation. Mary Astor, no, not so. She didn't have a foundation. She was so there's 12. It's an all-star 12, an Oasis conversion stories of Hollywood legends. So it's kind of all over the map. Jane Wyman. She had a real crisis with losing her child in the late 40s, and so she was very early on. She was very disciplined, and early on she found faith, and that really kind of helped her weather some of the Hollywood storms or not go down that path. You know, we're really...
Yeah. Well, the big question is, you obviously have some favorites. Share one with us.
I love them all. You know, when you get into them, I'm now writing about Alec Guinness. I love Alec. You know, it's amazing. You get all those little threads. But Gary Cooper, I love Gary Cooper's story. Towards the end of his life, I mean, when he was dying, he said, "I realize what's happening to me is God's will." Amazing. Because he was suffering immensely. Alfred Hitchcock, beautiful story. Betty Hutton, I love her story. Susan Hayward, amazing. You know what she came from, Brooklyn. Most of all of them came from nothing. A lot of dysfunction in their early childhood, except for Alfred Hitchcock, Gary Cooper, and then Patricia Neal. So it's kind of bookended by stability. Lana Turner. So interesting to see, you know, her Hollywood career, and she just was looking for love in all the wrong places. And
well, give us what is Alfred Hitchcock's story? That's kind of interesting to me.
Well, he was, you know, this darling little child, his, you know, surrounded by this warm, loving family, you know, more or less. I mean, every family has their dysfunction. And then all he could do in life is make movies. And so he was kind of God himself. And then towards the end of his life, he came full circle and realized, said famously to Ingrid Bergman, "Ingrid, I'm going to die." And she said, we're all going to die. And a very poignant, Dan Henninger's brother, Father, I'm forgetting his first name, isn't that terrible? Father Henninger accompanied the priest towards the end of his life, and tears streaming down his cheeks, you know, when he'd received Holy Communion. He really came full circle.
So what do you want readers to get from this? What do you want what's the takeaway you want a reader to have on this book?
Christmas time. Well, I'll tell you what's unique about it, believe it or not, is the soul behind the billboard, as my friend Harry Flynn, who was Bob Hope's publicist, said. You know, I tried to get this book published, the Gary Cooper story published in a big LA magazine. They were only interested in the external life. So when you're watching Meet John Doe, you know, Meet Me in St. Louis, you'll realize, you read the book and you see really what went into that performance, all the, you know, blood, sweat, and tears. I mean, it's just not, they just don't go on camera and, you know, look beautiful and say their lines. A lot goes into it. So that, and also what's very interesting is how different it was back in Hollywood. They, you know, the bosses would cover up everything, so they had to suffer in silence. And although some of it did hit the pages. So it was very God's forgiveness, God's healing, walking with Christ. With these stars, you think they're larger than life, but they're just like you and me.
Wonderful. So you're working on another one. Tell us about it.
Well, as I say, I just I'm doing the Alec Guinness story right now. I actually have another book greenlit about Hemingway, so I'm working on his faith journey. But Alec Guinness, and then I've done the Spencer Tracy chapter. So it will be probably another All-Star 12, Oasis 2, but the Hemingway, I'm speaking at the Hemingway Society this summer, so I have to pivot and do work on that. But Alec Guinness, oh my goodness, amazing. He never knew who his father was, so it's amazing.
All right, let me say to our viewers and listeners a couple things. You can go to maryclairecinema.com and talk to her there. The book is entitled Oasis. Take a look at it right there, and it's called Conversion Stories of Hollywood Legends. Fascinating stories, just to name a few: Lana Turner, John Wayne, Alfred Hitchcock, Bob Hope. Interesting stories. So check it out. Well, Mary, thank you. Let's connect when you get the next one done. Okay?
I look forward to. They could get it on.
Sounds good. Merry Christmas to you. All right, we'll be right back.